Hello.
Hey Pablo, hi.
Hey,
Hello.
Omkar. What's up? We're live.
Yeah.
Um, welcome to EA Live. And welcome everyone that's joining us today. We have already 8 people live watching in on YouTube. So it's great to have you all join us today. And yeah, Omkar, if you have tweeted it out to your community, some people are going to be joining now. I know you
Yeah.
mentioned that people in India sometimes are 10 minutes late to things, so maybe we'll see them come in. I'm used to people in Argentina being super late to stuff, so
Yeah.
that's what it is. But of course, every EA Live is recorded, and
Mhm.
it stays up on YouTube for you to watch on demand. And also, we make like short videos out of these, and we try to kind of slice it up so we find the most interesting parts of our conversation too. So all of that is going to be coming out in the coming days. But for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Pablo Gonzalez. I'm a Webflow developer at Edgar Allan. This is EA Live, our weekly or every 2 weeks streams that we do here, chatting with interesting people around the world, from Webflow development to branding, agency building, and many other topics. And today we have Omkar Menase. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Means
Menase.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
fine.
Menase. um,
You did it
uh,
better than like 99% of the people who say my name. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks. And yeah, and so he's a Webflow developer from India, from Goa. And yeah, I wanted to have a conversation with him about, how he got into Webflow development, how he, started in India, and how's the context there, how many people do Webflow, is that a big community, and about Desiflow, which is an Indian community that he started. So welcome, Omkar. And if you want to give a quick
Yeah.
intro and who you are, um,
Yeah.
let's get started.
So first of all, thank you, Pablo, for inviting me on the live stream. It's my pleasure to be here. And yeah. So like hello everyone. So I have been like working with Webflow for past 2 years and being mainly focused towards like development side of the Webflow. And a year back, last year, we started like Desiflow, which is like we call it like we have a tagline called home of a uh, like Desi webflowers. So Desi is a word where we use for like our own people, like Indian people or South Asian people to be in general. So yeah, and we have like 90 members in our Slack, almost like 200 250 members following us on Twitter, and we do all sorts of community event. We organize kind of like learning sessions where we bring in guests to make like upgrade our skills. We do Twitter spaces, we do casual hangouts where people can just like casually discuss about their freelancing issues, their issues regarding Webflow. So we do all of that, and we have members from like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, across all the South Asian continent.
Awesome, and
Yeah.
that's really interesting. And when we were chatting about this before the stream, I had never heard the word Desi as as like the general word to that
Yeah.
you recognize as from people not only from India but like neighboring countries. So something new I learned. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Anyone that's on the chat, if you want to just drop a comment on YouTube, say hi, where you're watching us from. That is going to be awesome. We can feature you here in the chat. I know some of Amkar's friends are hanging out there in the chat too.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Also my
early.
parents. Also
Your
my
parents
parents.
too. So
Yeah,
we,
they
we,
have been like very excited about this interview. So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. So drop a comment on YouTube, and we'll feature you. So yeah, no, and I know it's early for Eastern time, and Pacific time even earlier. So some people from the US are not gonna be hanging out here still. It's fairly early for me. I mean, it's 10 a.m. It's not that bad, but our
Yeah.
time zone difference with India is such that it's almost the afternoon for you, right? It's almost 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 p.m.
So
from here.
so yeah, I know some of you, it's later in the day. So if you want to say hi, that'd be awesome. Hi, Joel. Thanks for joining us
Yeah.
today. Joel is there in the chat. So yeah, thanks for that quick intro, Amkar. And I wanted to ask you. You said you've been working in Webflow for around 2 years. How did you get into Webflow? Like, how did you hear about it? And what was your previous experience with coding or web design before getting into it?
Yeah, so my like backstory is like pretty amazing because I come from like very small town from here in India where like internet penetration was very low, and I have like very like weird education background because I did my all the education in mechanical engineering. So
Mm,
I used to work with like gears, cars, oils, and everything. And then when world was closed in lockdown, I had like nothing to do, and I was actually like worried about how things will work out and everything. So I actually started learning about code, and then also joined like few Discord servers community on Discord. And then from there I started learning code, and I think all of us know once you start learning code, you will be bombarded with the Webflows ad on YouTube. Like every time you open some coding tutorial, you see a Webflow ad, and I was like, what is this Webflow? Let's check it out. And
what's
I did.
happening here? What's
Yeah,
happening? What?
and I learned about HTML. That was quick. CSS, that was quick. Like obviously when you are going through tutorials, everybody like seems like CSS is very easy. i
Yeah.
gone through that, and then once I came through JavaScript, I was like, no, this is very hard. JavaScript is very hard for me now. And then through the Discord servers and through the communities, I actually like heard about, like I tried out Webflow for a day, and I was like, this seems very complex, I don't know what this tool about. And I heard about like WordPress. And WordPress is pretty big, like huge in India. Like
Hmm.
every local website is on WordPress and everything. And I saw
I think
opportunity
it's
of
like huge all over the world. I
all
think like
over the
something like
world. Yeah.
90% of the internet is on WordPress or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like not only like just using it as a kind of a headless CMS for a backend. Like very
Mm.
big websites use that as a headless CMS, but just working with it with as a, like you just add 4 or 5 plugins and you just drag and drop and you have a website. And I got a project through there, like through the Discord server. I got a project, my first project, which was just to create two sections on a landing page for $25. And I never have used like WordPress at that point, but I took that project and then I started watching tutorials on YouTube. And then I took a like week, and I finished that project, and that's how I started my journey. And from that point from that point, I was, at that moment I was still in my like engineering school, doing my mechanical engineering. But at that from that point, I got in like touch with few of local agencies who work with WordPress. And I just used to do like random projects here and there. And I guess like in college, even if you get like small amount, $100, that's
Yeah.
like huge for you, because that's a huge money for you. And I started doing that. But after like I finished my college, I reached at a point where I had few clients who used to do like maintenance for them on WordPress. But
Yeah.
I thought, like, if I want to move to a next level, and if I want to do a good work and make a career out of it, I guess like Webflow would be a right tool, and I need to move to Webflow.
So
And
so far you
that's how.
were doing mostly WordPress development.
Yeah, WordPress development. And like because I was working with very local businesses,
Yeah.
like I was actually trying to convince them to move to Webflow, but
Mm.
they were not actually like very comfortable doing that. Few things like pricing and all of the other things, so they were not comfortable. I tried it for like 6 months, trying to convince them, or whatever
Mm.
new lead I get, try to convince them for a Webflow, shifting them to Webflow, but it was no luck. But after a certain point, I decided I need to do this jump,
Mm.
and this is the moment, this is the point. And I stopped working with like WordPress. I'd made that decision, like no more WordPress, and I completely jumped to the Webflow.
Nice. So you kind of took the leap of faith, and then what? You started just saying to every new client, "Hey, I do like Webflow exclusive."
No,
And how? So
I, I
how did you
didn't
get
had
Webflow
like
clients?
any work. I didn't had any work for like 6 to 8 months after that
Okay.
point.
Wow.
But it was very calculated decision. I
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm the kind of person where I'm kind of more towards like pessimistic or realistic,
Yeah.
where I don't believe in like leap of faith or everything, because I saved up money. I saved like lots of money, and I
Yeah.
moved back to my parents' house. It's like
Nice. Okay.
you get to stay there for free, you get free food and everything. So thank you, my parents, if they are watching. So I moved back here, and I told them like this is the decision I'm taking, and I will be just like doing this, trying it out for a year. If it
Yeah.
succeed, it's good. If it doesn't succeed, then I will go back and do join with like any other company or any other
Yeah.
startup.
Yeah.
So first thing I did, because I did not had any connection, any network, anything, and there were few things against me, which was my location, where I cannot go and meet like good businesses.
Yeah.
And then, like, I guess like it's a issue with many people whose first language is not English. You don't
Mm.
feel confident enough to like open your mic, open your camera, and start talking
Yeah.
in public. And third thing was no portfolio, no experience with Webflow. And Webflow is a tool kind of seems easy at the beginning, but it has like many layers to it. And as you start working on project, the complexity goes in, like goes up.
Yeah.
So I started like joining communities. I started being active in all the communities on Twitter, any like Slack communities, anywhere you will find me. Still, I do that. So that was my trick, where I just like got in contact with all the Webflow community, like prominent members, and I made sure they know my name.
Mm.
If like they actually like should recognize me, I offered my help. I started like attending all the events, and slowly but surely I started gaining confidence from there, because people used to know me. I started like gaining confidence, and then I started presenting my thoughts, explaining my thoughts,
Mm.
and through that I made like uh, many connections. And
Yeah.
after certain, and I used to keep practicing in the background. I was
Yeah.
doing this community thing and doing practice projects and anything. And one thing helped me was, because I was in contact or in touch with many experts of the community, that accelerated my learning. Because I used to, rather than just like going and like spending hours and hours figuring out the issue, I can just
Yeah.
like, suppose I can just ping
Yeah.
you
Just
on
ask
Twitter.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah, I can just ping you on Twitter, and then you can reply me, because you have already like experienced that or came across
Yeah.
that issue. And I
So
did that.
it's
And
sort of
after,
the importance of networking was kind
yep,
of really is the thing that
yep,
changed
yeah.
your direction.
And yeah, and after like 6 months, 8 months, I just, then that moment I asked everyone that I'm launching, I'm starting, and if you have any referrals, any overflow work, please uh, send them across to me, or if you need any help, I'm open to help.
Nice. I love that. And the sort of decision to be like, okay, I'm just gonna try this for a year. If it doesn't work, it's not gonna work. If it does, awesome, right?
Yeah,
And now that it sort of has worked, I assume, right? You're now doing work.
yeah.
What do you think? Like because for me, being from Argentina, which is a fairly underdeveloped country, um, working, in Webflow for the last what is it now, like 4 to 5, yeah, 4 years, I would say.
Hmm.
um I was doing like traditional development before, like not development but like front end design and development, so mostly HTML, CSS, and just a bit of JavaScript here and there. But starting in Webflow really kind of changed a bit what I was, like, the opportunities I had and the
Yeah.
work I could do and the people I could meet. And
Hmm.
I know like India is a lot more developed and economically powerful than Argentina, but it has
Yeah.
similar, I think, similar technological barriers and just
Yes.
how it just functions politically. And do you think so? I think that could resonate with you. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That,
What are some things you just didn't anticipate, or you're like, wow, this is an awesome opportunity, or meeting people? Like, what are some of those things that for you are um you know opportunities or doors that you never thought would open up for you?
honestly, like everything. everything. Like I never imagined like I would be like doing this interview, for example, like speaking
Yeah.
with someone across the globe, like in like 8 hour ahead, or like time zone and time zone difference and everything, working with the clients across the world, like fulfilling their needs, giving them services. It was kind of a it's like when I sit back and think, it's kind of mind blowing how far I have come from
Yeah.
where I started. Because I like, if you ask me before like 5 to 6 years ago, I didn't even know like actually what uh what all things we can do on internet, because I got my first like laptop in like 2018 when I went like left my like town and went to Bangalore. Bangalore is kind of a technology hub here,
Mm.
and I got that, and from there I started getting more and more into the technologies. And just like 2 years ago, I was not sure about what I wanted to do, how it will be, the things will be. But now I have been uh, like doing work, like and all of those things. So yeah, this has been like very kind of a dream for me.
Yeah.
uh, Whatever things I'm doing, like for example, still it's very difficult for me to make my parents or make my friends or relatives understand what work I actually do, because
Yeah.
they're like, what do you do actually? Like now it has become normal because of pandemic. Many people are
Yeah.
working from home. They just think I do something on computer, like with
Yeah.
my
And that's it.
on my table. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, we all have difficulties explaining what exactly we do, and
Yeah.
sometimes we don't even know ourselves. But so you didn't just go ahead and become like a freelance developer contractor for agencies and such. You decided to start your own agency, Crafty Social.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go that route versus just working for someone?
Yeah, so I feel like it's kind of my personal like character trait, because I have been like always kind of entrepreneurial in my ways of doing things, kind of getting in like getting in front and getting into the leadership role and leading people. So that has I have been doing for like long time, since my like childhood. I have been like doing that.
Mm.
And I feel like my strong traits which I do is like, I feel for anybody working with me, uh, I want to give them like complete experience, because I feel like being in this Webflow space, people actually forget we are in a services business. The website or the product we are giving them is as much important as the service we are giving to them. Because suppose we are working with client 1 year from now, whether they remember the quality of work we did or not, I don't know, but they will remember the experience or the kind of feeling they felt working with us.
Yeah.
And I guess for you, like anybody actually like meeting me, anybody I'm trying to meet with, anybody, i I actually believe that the vibes or the energies you feel around them or talking to them are really important, and that's the way you build the connection. So that was the thing actually I had in mind. And to be real, I applied for few things at the beginning, few jobs at the beginning, but it like never materialized.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm still open for opportunities, but uh, i'm I'm open for opportunities where I think I can like learn at fast pace and grow at fast pace, where like there are only like few places now currently in the Webflow world where I would be open to. But other than that, I am pretty comfortable where I am currently.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it's two reasons. It's one because like no one was hiring you, so I might as well just build it. But
Yeah,
also because you wanted to ensure that sort of the whole experience for the client, right? Which
yeah,
I totally like. I agree with you, and what you said there was beautiful, right? How like people don't remember the website, right?
yeah,
And probably like you build a beautiful website, and in 2 years everything might be like old content.
yeah,
The images might no load because like some weird thing broke, like whatever it is. And that's just technology, right? But
yeah,
what people will remember is like the meetings you had with them, the conversations, the moment
Yeah.
of like you were candid and you told them the truth about the thing or why it's not working or why it is, instead of just selling them something because you needed to sell them something, right?
Yeah.
So building those trust, those having those conversations that build trust is, you know, super important. And I love how you just want to own that relationship with your clients. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
And but of course, like you were new, right? And you just said, okay, I'll build this. What were some challenges on starting it? Because I assumed you didn't have prior experience on building an agency. So
Yeah.
first time doing it, like what can you tell us about that, those
Yeah.
initial moments?
I guess it's like still challenging because, like, first of all, I don't have any experience like working anywhere before this. I did not ever work in like traditional companies, never, nothing. So challenges are there every day. Like, you have to like keep yourself motivated, keep yourself on point, where you have your like weekly goals, you have your monthly goals and daily goals. You have to try to achieve that. And you also have to make sure that you are not being so hard on yourself, because I did that mistake initially, where, because being in freelancing, like, you don't have anyone above you to ask you to do the work, or anyone's above you to keep the check of work. And we always are fighting towards, at the end of the day, I'm always like thinking, did I do like good enough work, or did I do good work or not, or did I like overworked, or did I underworked on this project or today. So uh, like, that doing that is been like really challenging for me, because I don't know how much work to be done every week. I don't have any barometer or anything to compare against my performance. So that has been the really challenging work. Second thing is like keeping the kind of consistency of leads. I guess every agency struggles with that. Like, it's like feast and famine. Like, some months you have like lots and lots of project, you don't know where to stop and when to stop the work and when to say no. But some months you don't have anything to do, and then you have this stress when you have no like not many leads in your pipeline. So that's what actually happened. So I guess like we were talking before the stream, like I said, like I have been like working too much like since February,
Yeah,
and now I have like no leads in my pipeline.
yeah,
It's like, then you have to balance that. Whenever working, you also have to keep reaching out to your new leads
yeah,
or new potential clients, warm leads, or everything. Yeah. So
yeah.
just
No, absolutely.
being balancing all of the things is I think most difficult part throughout the journey.
And but you did mention something about like consistency, and just being showing up every day. Like how do you think about that? What are some of like the habits you have to kind of just show up, even now if you don't have like leads on your pipeline? Like essentially when you finish like whatever clients you're working on right now, not gonna have like work. So what is that? What happens there? Like what are some of the habits you formed in the last couple of years just to like
Yeah.
showing up consistently?
Yeah. So its consistency is like very important to me personally, because in the past, uh, like, I was like very impatient, and I used to like, we all have that like shiny object syndrome, where we see something new and we just go towards that new tech or new laptop, like everything, and any new business opportunities, we try to go towards that. And at some point I realized like it's actually hurting me trying to jump on any new thing. So now on Twitter it's like subscription agency, that's the new fad, like everyone is
Yeah.
going for. So after a point I realized that's not how it's going to work. Fortunate enough, I realized at the very beginning of my agency career, and then I made a decision that if I cannot do a thing for 90 days, I'm not going to start it. Like, I'm not even going to bother to begin it. And uh, and that has helped me a lot, because everything, like, even being in like community, being in a community activities, being in a business, you just have to be there consistently. Like, even if it's not working out, you have to be there, try to make it work. And that actually shows people that you are legit, you are not a you are a serious guy, you have been there. That's why companies actually write like Edgar Allan is in business for like last 15 years, 10 years. That
Yeah.
shows the trust, that builds the trust actually, because you have been like consistently there running and doing the things for like last 15 years. So
Yeah.
that's actually kind of a brand building activity where you are there daily.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important to, for me, like these sort of like live streams and being on Twitter and wherever like people are on like different Slack channels. Like the agency is over 10 years old. I've been only here for uh, less than a year, but I've known the agency for much longer, right?
Yeah,
Because Mason was like on Twitter just doing stuff. Knockout was released, and people talk about like, well, okay, what is this? Then letter letter run was released, and what is letter run, how does that work? Like, you just gotta kind of be there. And for me, and how I got connected with Edgar Allan, how I started working here, it was sort of the same thing that you're saying. Like, I was doing my thing, working in Webflow at another company, but also like doing, I was like in one of the Webflow Conf, Webflow Conf speaker back like 2 years ago, and just by chatting with the Webflow team on Twitter and getting to know people and being available. And it's like you start to build out your network, and people are like, okay, this person exists, and it's not just a person that threw out a tweet one day and then nothing happened. And then that's how I knew Edgar Allan, and they knew me, and then we were like, hey, let's do something together. But that doesn't
yeah,
happen if you didn't do like
yeah,
the years of work that
yeah.
got you to that moment.
I call it like making your own luck. You don't
Yeah.
get lucky. You have to put yourself out there. You have to put your word out there, and then
Yeah.
one day you will get like lucky. It's like
Yeah.
because like suppose like year from now somebody looks at this live stream and they are looking for something like some profile like me, they will reach out to me. So like
Yeah.
I didn't get lucky at that point. I actually like we made an effort, and then it will lead to kind of a things you want in this world. So yeah,
Yeah. And there's a quote I had to look up as you were saying this because I wanted to say it right, which is like, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
yeah,
Um, which is just essentially doesn't exist. It's just you're prepared, and the
yeah,
opportunity uh,
yeah,
showed, like, appeared at the time when you were ready to take advantage of it. So totally agree with you. And yeah, I can see it in my own journey. I can see it like in Edgar Allan's journey. I can see it in your journey, and how we are now talking about this because one day you
yeah,
joined a stream and you dropped a message in the chat. I remember, we were talking, I don't remember with whom, and you just dropped a question in the chat, and then you reached out to me on Twitter, and now we're here, right? Like, I don't know,
yeah,
whatever, 6 months later. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of being there. And for me, I really, really enjoy kind of talking with people like you that are kind of showing up every day because that's like, I was given that was like by people seeing me show up and giving me opportunities. I want to kind of do the same for others, so it's
yeah.
just like a cycle, and
Cycle.
that
Yeah,
continues on. And you did mention something about like, not during the live stream, but we were having a conversation the other day about thinking long term even when you're like super early
yeah,
on your career. Can you
yeah,
talk to that a little bit?
yeah. I guess like because if you are like doing freelancing, or if you are in a studio business and you are thinking on a day to day basis, you will be like burnt out in like 1 month, because that there is like so much stress and so much thinking you have to do. You have to think about leads, you have to think about ongoing projects. And like today's, if you go on Twitter today, you will see so many people doing amazing work. So many people are like tweeting about their revenues. We don't know how much of truth there in there, but yeah. and you will just get like overwhelmed with all the messages and all the content out there, and eventually you will think, yeah, I cannot make it, I'm not good enough, and there are already people who have like market covered.
Yeah.
But if you just take a step back and you just think in kind of a 5 year or 2 year, 5 year, and a decade basis,
Yeah.
then you will see a larger picture, and that will actually help. Like I still struggle that sometimes. Like there is one, like there will be a day in like every quarter where I feel like so under motivated. Like that one day is like I'm at my worst, where I will feel like nothing is working, everything is going like in the wrong direction than what I thought. But if you always have to like take a step back and think about the long term plan, and that will actually help you to say no to many things. That will actually give you power to say no to the kind of red flag clients, or to the opportunities which are like not helpful to you in the long term, but you are just trying to get those opportunity in short term.
Mm.
So that's my way. But I usually think in like, will this thing will help me grow for like next 2 years? If even if I'm trying to say yes to any opportunity, I will think in like 2 years, 5 years manner, how it will like play out in next 2 to 5 years, and
Yeah.
then I will say that like we can do some quick projects, but just having a broader view will
Yeah.
always help.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one grows older, one realizes that even more,
Yeah.
because the time is, ever less and less. So
Yep.
it's like it becomes more and more obvious. And whenever, but it's tough to think about those sort of things when you're like maybe 20 or 20 something, because you do want to experiment too. Right? You want to
Yeah.
kind of try stuff out. You don't know already what you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you that really at the end of the day, it comes back to the showing up every day thing, right?
Yeah.
If you don't that showing up adds up. So if you decide to take on a project that is not gonna um, kind of help you be the person you want to become, then you're becoming someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to start picking what the things you're doing with your time more carefully, because the things you put your attention on are the things you're gonna be in the future. So
Yes.
you want to
Exactly.
pick right.
Yeah.
Want to make sure
Because
you're making the right decision.
because at the initial days you have very less resources, you have very little time, and you have to be very mindful of what all the things you do.
Yeah,
Because I guess like at the stage you guys are in, you can afford to like run 5 marketing channels,
yeah,
2 sales channels, and all of those things. But like being in like solo freelancer guy, like
yeah,
we have like limited amount of time, and then you have to think like, if I select just Twitter as a platform
yeah,
where I being active and I market myself, how it's going to play out,
yeah,
like some people choose like cold emails, like
yeah,
cold outreach. How, like, is it thing for me?
yeah,
Am I good at it? Am I see myself doing it for like next 6 months? And
yeah,
then if the answer is yes, you can always go there. And but like, yeah, I guess like that's the small decisions you take at the beginning, but it
yeah,
will have a very large impact at the long term.
yeah. No, I totally agree. And as you started your career, you mentioned, of course, you started working with clients locally. Um, and eventually you started working with some international clients, right?
Yeah.
What are some, if there's anything like that feels interesting for you to mention, like what are some of those like cultural differences, or like different ways you notice in communicating with like your local sort of Indian business versus like either with whichever clients you've worked with, either like European clients, US based clients, whatever, South America, Australia,
Yeah.
whatever, whomever you've worked with, like what are some of those like maybe traits of like Indian companies that you work with, and more international clients, and what are the things you've learned in dealing with that?
Yeah. I guess like it's very different working with companies across the world. because, and the person, like point of contact or the person you're working with, because everyone has like different influences, different cultures, and their kind of point of references will be different. So just from my experience, here in India, like people love to use like WhatsApp. Even
Mm.
for like business purposes, people will just like communicate via WhatsApp. Like even though have they have Slack, even we have Process, people
Mm.
love to do use that. And then second thing is, like for every
It's the
small
same.
thing.
It's the same thing here, by the way. In
Yeah,
Argentina, like
yeah,
WhatsApp is massive,
yeah,
and everyone's gonna want to talk to you in WhatsApp. And I'm
yeah,
always like, no, no, that's like where I chat with my friends and family. You know,
yeah.
I don't want to do that.
So that's the reason I have like two numbers. Like one is just a
Mm.
business number, one is just my family or private friends number.
Yeah,
So that's what we do. And every freelancer or every business owner here has kind of a
yeah,
two different cell phones and different things separated. So first thing is that, and second thing, it depends on client, because local clients, they don't have their like marketing focused around website, the
mm,
or and if you are working with the SaaS team, their entire marketing is around like revolving around the website. So that is
yeah.
the second thing, if you are working with the local businesses.
And
And
where do they base? Like, where does marketing come from for like local Indian companies? Where do they do their
mostly
marketing?
mostly like they run ads on Facebook,
Mm,
or they do like a call, like sales via like cold calling people. So
yeah.
those kind of things. But I have like very little compared to like if you talk with me now, I have very little experience working with the local clients than working with the clients from states, because I have been like work with many of them currently. So yeah.
Okay. So and so what you said, like that was one of the main differences, like marketing, right? They focus
Yeah,
on hat. Yeah, and that's like very typical for like you know, I see that a lot, of course, in US based companies where their marketing is sort of their main the thing. They want it to be like beautiful and have people
yeah,
land there.
yeah,
And for us here in Argentina, it's very similar. I think the difference is it's more Instagram than Facebook. Really, Facebook is not that popular down here
yeah.
anymore.
So
So it's a lot of like, you know, any company, like my girlfriend has an agency for, you know, social media
mhm.
management, and, you know, yeah, digital marketing. And so every company wants to have like their beautiful Instagram page and, you know, their online shopping thing, which we have like a local, you know, software here, like app sort of,
Mhm.
that you build your shop on, sort
Yeah.
of like a WordPress for like e-commerce, whatever, that is local from here. So everyone
Mhm.
just wants to have their shop and their Instagram, but then no one has like a website, right?
Yeah.
A marketing
Yeah.
website.
Here they mostly just worry about like having a website, like just having an online presence. They don't worry about what content is there, no blogs and nothing. And one
Mm,
more interesting thing here in WhatsApp, you can actually have a product catalog, and it's just like
mm,
e-commerce. Here
yeah,
you can show your product, you can show the images of them on your profile, you can
yeah,
show the prices, and people can just order anything or do business using that.
yeah,
Like if you have WhatsApp business account, you can do all of that here.
yeah. I think we
Yeah.
have that here too, but people are more used to the Instagram shopping
Okay.
experience versus
Yeah.
like the WhatsApp shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like websites are a dying breed. I sometimes think, you know, like full on
Mm-hmm.
like marketing websites, unless you're like you said, like a SaaS company that you need to have your presence, or you kind of
Yeah.
you're like big serious company and you want to have like your online presence be like, you know, really cool and for investors and that sort of thing, you know, that makes
Yeah.
sense. But then for the actual day-to-day business, for me, at least here down in Argentina, it's a lot more just, you know, Instagram and and e-commerce, and that's
Yep.
about everything that there
And
is.
and I guess like here, like 80% of the local businesses are fine just by having like Google My Business profile.
Yeah.
And that will actually like whatever SEO effort we put, the Google My Business's result will like show on top. So
Mm.
Google My Business is our like best way to like for most of the businesses here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I we're like 40 minutes in, but I want to make sure we touch on Desiflow.
Yep.
The Indian community that you built. So first of all, like, did you build it? Like, what's the founding story? Like, how did it get started? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
just tell me a bit about that.
So like from the like beginning of last year, I had this in my mind, like uh, there should be a community in India or of Indian webflows, because there were few things. First thing is like no events are in our time zone. The events are actually happening in mostly EST time zone, and everything like webflows live stream happens like, which is like pretty late for our time and everything. And I thought like that can be a thing. And second thing was, because India is like so diverse, there are like almost 400 languages spoken across the India, and it's like huge. Like people actually don't understand the scale of this country.
Yeah,
Like people think it's like a small country. No, like even if I go like to northern side of India, even I will feel that I came to a different country being in my own country. So that's how the scale is. So I I actually like had this thing in my mind,
that
and
is
then
that's because of the what it's called, the Mercator, the way that we see the world map, the traditional
no,
view of the world map.
no, it's like
That is that is like every country north
hmm
of the center is
yeah,
represented much larger than it actually is, and because
yeah,
India is sort of in the middle of the
middle,
world,
yeah,
um, there's its size, it's representative of size. So any country you see like on a map, like in Africa or South America,
hmm
they are fairly that size. But then every country you see above that is like Russia is not as large as it looks on the map. Like it's massive,
yeah,
but it's not like
that large,
8 times that large. Like
yeah.
same for Canada or even like Greenland, which looks massive on a map. It's
Yeah.
like a
So we
tenth of that
cannot like
size.
compare it on like a relative scale.
Yeah,
Relatively, it has like very
yeah.
different
So
scales.
countries are like
Yeah,
very different size, and India is
yeah,
one that is really massive.
yep, yep. And like every state has their like own language, own culture. Like everything is like different.
Jazz
So
says they have countries within the country.
yeah, I guess like he is like stating my point, which I spoke. Like
Yeah.
even I
Well, it
will
is
feel.
called the Indian subcontinent, right? So
Yep.
it's a continent on itself.
Yeah. So that the like I had these points in my mind, and then what I did, I started like getting in touch with few of the prominent Webflow people. Like there was Anish, there was Harshit, and like few of different people. I started meeting with them, and I presented them with the idea of starting the community. And we took a bit of time. We actually like had couple of meetings on how to do, how to start, and what all things to do. And then with like 5 founding members, we started the Desiflow community last year, and we started with Slack and Twitter, and from there we started like growing that.
Yeah. And we have our own Spanish speaking community. It's called Webflow Cafe,
hmm
which was founded by Edgar Allan, by our because we have 6 people here in Argentina, uh,
hmm
and then one guy in Spain, and then a woman in Peru, and then that's, I think, about it. So we're like maybe 10 people that speak Spanish in Edgar Allan. And
hmm
Florencia, she's what, like Flor and Felix, they are the 2 founders of Webflow Cafe, and it was sort of you know uh, backed by Edgar Allan in a way, right? So we had that sort of nice starting point. And it's so interesting. We have a Discord channel, and a Twitter account also, and we do like weekly streams too. And it's just so interesting to me when like new people come in, like
hmm
entirely like someone you like don't know who they are. They're like not like known by anyone else in the community, and they're just a person that started using Webflow. Like the other day, a girl joined, and she just wrote to me on Twitter, and she was like, "Hey, like I'm super like new at Webflow. I have no idea, um, but I see you speak Spanish. Like, can we meet? And you can
yeah,
kind of tell me what's like what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, of course, but also join our Webflow like Discord
Webflow.
community. And so she
Yep.
joined, and she's like, "Hi everyone, like I'm super new," and we have like I don't know 200 members too, like similar to Desiflow.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone just jumps in and it's like, yeah, of course I can meet for like a coffee, like if you live in like whatever you live, like if I live in your same city I can like meet with you, or we can do like a like an like an online like Google Hangout
Yep.
thing. And so I met with her yesterday and we chatted for like 40 minutes, and it's like, for me it's really lovely to just see new people that are completely new and that they already have a place where they
Yep.
know that there's people they can trust and learn
Yep.
and just ask anything, any question they have, and it's sort of like a safe place where they can grow and just help the community thrive
Yes.
too. Does that happen for you
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
flow?
Yeah, it happens a lot. Like we have like similar stories, and it also like, because whatever advice you see on like find on YouTube, you find on like Twitter, are like specified at like mostly a US market, where
Yeah,
people just post about their experiences.
yeah,
Coming from like kind of sort of background we are coming in, we have very specific challenges here, we have very specific things and like issues we have. So like since we started this community, personally it has helped me a lot. And then other people, like we discussed about like many issues which are not commonly discussed, regarding the tax system, like how
mm,
should we manage those, how should we do the taxes, how should we receive the payments, because that's a difficult part sometimes. Like uh, Indian government has like very different rules for receiving money
yeah,
outside the India. So we actually brought in like uh, what do you say, we call them a CA, chartered accountant. So
mm,
the person who knows, has a knowledge about all the
yeah,
tax system and everything. So we brought him for a session. He gave us information about that. People are actually like getting in contact with each other, doing collaborating on projects, referring projects to me, like projects to like all the people. I'm referring few people for a project. I actually like reached out by few companies for a full-time jobs, and
mm,
I referred few members. I just tell them like we have this community, and if you
yeah,
want I can just post the job there.
yeah.
So that has the collaborative environment is actually like going on. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man, and it's that importance of like localization of things, right? Because like you said, and of course, like the Desi flow community is not only Indian, like you said, also Pakistani and Bengali and what else? What are the
Yeah, Sri
countries you
Lanka,
mentioned?
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka. Okay, so I need to add the flag here uh, to this little thing
Yeah,
here. Sri Lanka. There we go. That's more representative of what we're saying. So, and it's the same here for Webflow Cafe, right? It's like we have people in Argentina, we have people in Chile, we have people in Colombia, we have people in Peru, we have people in Spain, Mexico, and Ecuador, like whatever. There's so many in
yep,
Spanish-speaking countries, right? So. And even people like this girl that I chatted yesterday, she's from Brazil, but she speaks Spanish too. And
yep.
there's no like strong Portuguese or Brazilian community, so
Community.
she kind of joined our community because she knows Spanish, right? So there's like it's so valuable because the things you mentioned, like taxation, like how do you what
Yeah,
platforms do you use to receive payments from the US, from Europe, from like if you're from Argentina, how do you get receive payments from Chile, how do you, and it's like all those things, like just payments, and also like dealing with how do you present the Webflow pricing to clients, because for
yes,
countries that are not US, it is fairly expensive compared to other alternatives. So what are some um, strategies to kind of present that in a way that it is like that you can kind of convince the client and show them like why it is valuable, and having those conversations that are not like global, it's awesome, right? Because although the Webflow team has done a great job in building a community that is like really inclusive, it's
yeah,
just in English, right? So if
yeah,
you don't speak a lot of English, or you have questions that are outside of the US scope, you're
hmm,
kind of left hanging, and it's
yep,
not like it's not a critique, it's just what it is, right? So
Yeah.
you need to have these other secondary more specific communities, and I love that you have built that, man. And I love that you had that idea and that it's going great. And as
Yeah.
we are kind of closing in on the hour here, and you were worried we might not have enough to talk about before the
Yeah.
stream, and now we just don't have enough time.
Yes.
I want to talk about like what is in the future for you, right, in your business, and what are you looking forward to?
Honestly, like me, like now I'm more and more moving towards the technical development side of things, like getting more into JavaScript, getting more into like using other like membership platforms, Wist, and all of those things. So that's my view towards it, because I feel like just being a Webflow developer won't be enough from now on onwards, like in a
Mm,
year or two. And if you want to like differentiate yourself from others and like being at an elevated level, you have to get like into like more and more technical things. So I have been focusing towards that. That has been my main focus. I have been using Slater a lot, like great product. So
mm.
yeah. So
Oh yeah,
that's
awesome.
that's
That's
that's my
Slater.
plan.
Slater, that's an app that we have developed here internally at Edgar Allan. It's
Yeah.
Slater.app, which you can use to it's similar to Code Sandbox,
Yeah.
which is a tool you can use to write code and then just drop a snippet of a script, a link to your script, and then you can modify the script without having to go into the Webflow, head code
Yeah.
settings or footer code settings, and having to republish the site for like every change you make on your script. So you publish it there, and then you can just work more efficiently. And with Slater, what we've done is make a tool that is specific for Webflow. So it has a lot of cool things like a global script. So you can just add one script to your entire Webflow project, and then within the interface, you can say, I want this script to only run on this page.
Yeah.
And you do all of that within the app, so you never have to remember where did I put that little bit of code, like where was that, how that sometimes happens. So you can just manage everything within the app, and it's like super comfortable, and it has a chat gpt integration, so you can just chat with chat gpt, and it's like specifically tailored to work on like coding issues, and it helps you through building new things, and also just not only building new things, but kind of it comments your code, it explains what your code does, it helps you optimize it. So yeah, it's a super powerful tool, and we got a lot of things coming in the pipeline for it. Jared, our
Excited.
CTO,
Excited
is
to
working.
try it out. Yep.
Yeah, definitely try it out. And thanks for the plug. That was not planned, but yeah,
No, no,
it's a great
not
tool, and I
like,
use it every day.
definitely not a plug, because I really like the product and I have been using it. I guess like I told like many people in the community, like you guys should try it out. And I
Yeah,
actually like gave them a Twitter of Jared to like ping him, and he will give you a code if you
yeah.
don't.
No,
So
totally. And there's a
yeah.
Slater Slack channel too.
Yep.
If you all wanna join, man, I don't know where. I'll send it to you, Omkar.
Yep.
That like the share link for the Slack channel, so you can
Hmm.
share it in the Desiflow community, and that's where we like. It's a tool that we're building internally, so there may be bugs, there may be things that you want to propose as new features. So we have a channel where all of that is being discussed, and we also have weekly um, conversations every week. Jared just has open hours where you can just essentially sit down for an hour with our CTO, who's super smart, and it's like an opportunity you shouldn't miss. Really, it's like it's free, and his time is worth a lot. So you should
Yeah.
take advantage of sitting with him for an hour every week and asking development questions. So yeah, thanks for that plug. But yeah, we were talking about you, and you said you're going into development, and I totally agree with you. I wanted to say I'm noticing the same trend. Not to say like Webflow is dying. Like I don't
Yeah.
have like any thoughts on that, but it is changing, right? It is
Yeah.
adapting. It's like there's a ton of competition coming for them. Like it's going to be tough for them. There's just so many tools now that are similar to it, that are better at some things. The biggest one is Framer, of course, but like there's so many smaller startups that are coming up, and Webflow's been here for like more than 10 years. So at some point they're
Yes.
gonna disrupted by a new tool, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the best for them. Like I love everyone at the team there, but it's gonna get competitive. And I agree with you that don't think it's the best move to just be only a Webflow
Webflow.
developer, or like I still use it every day. That's the only thing I develop in. And but I am conscious of like learning the things I'm doing as if like I was doing it in another platform, right? Because
Mhm.
essentially with Webflow, you're building HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So whenever you're building, just being aware of like you could do this anywhere else. Like this, you're not defined by Webflow. Webflow is just your tool. So just make sure you know the underlying technologies, so that if the tool changes or doesn't work for you anymore, or the pricing becomes too expensive, you can kind of move elsewhere, and you still know your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript.
Yeah.
So
And
totally
my
agree
thing
with you.
is like not necessarily leaving the tool.
Yeah,
And I don't feel like any competition is like nearby the Webflow, and Framer
yeah,
is the best thing which ever happened to Webflow, because since the Framer is here, like Webflow has been like pushing a lots
yeah,
of great updates. But just being in the Webflow, but just pushing the boundaries and pushing the limits, just being like more
yeah,
into technical things, because there are so many tools which is like complementary to Webflow are coming into the market. And if you want to like work on bigger projects, more complex project, you need to have a technical know-how of things. If you want to, for a kind of an enterprise level client, you need to know how to integrate Pipedrive, how to integrate HubSpot, like the
mm,
small things. But
yeah,
it is like difference between you getting the project and not getting the project. So
yeah.
those things you have to actually like have prepared for from your side.
I agree, my friend. And we are 1 minute to the hour. I would love to, give you some closing thoughts. Any last words you wanna, you wanna mention? Anything you wanna plug? You wanna? I know your Twitter is. I have it down here. People can follow you at Omkar Menase down here. If people want to know more about you, is there anything you want to plug, man?
Yeah, nothing to plug. So people, if you are like listening from like anywhere in across India or that part of the world, like feel free to DM, and would like to get on a call with you, have a chat with you. And please, and I can also like share you link to join the Desiflow community. So that's my only thought. And other than that, like thank you so much, Pablo, for inviting me. Like this has been like a really great chat. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, man, it's totally been a pleasure, and I wanted to just thank everyone for joining us today. We had like at some point around 20 people live, and that's like a ton. So thanks everyone for being here. I know some people are sending um, some
That's
messages
my
here.
that's my brother. Like,
Your
yeah,
brother, hi, Omkar's brother. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, everyone else, there's Omkar. Thanking you all. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you on the next one.
sure.
Talk later.